Who's fired up? Wow, that was so cool. Good morning and welcome to WWDC 2024. Today, we have a lot to talk about across all of our platforms. But before we get started, we need to discuss something that is at the core of Apple's values, and that's shares. We tend to kick off WWDC and all of our keynote events addressing the shareholders to let them know that their investments are sound. And with that, let's talk about Apple TV Plus. Apple TV Plus has led in original programming over the last 3 years. If you look at this graph, which is very scientific, it will show you that Apple TV is a cut above the rest. And that about wraps it up for Apple services. Please don't sell your shares. Your shares. I am not liking how I'm saying that. I think I'm out of tune. Please excuse me. Shares! Now that I got that out of my system, let's send it over to Craig, who's going to discuss our entire platform, including Vision OS. We only have 2 costumes. Thanks, Tim. To stop you from needing to watch 8 minutes of fluff, here's Vision OS 2 in a nutshell. Since the Vision OS launched back in February, we've been beta testing with paid customers, and now we can offer you features that you have complained about. For example, new gestures, and expanded display support for your Apple Silicon Mac, really taking it to another level. Game-changing. Other encouraging words. We are proud to say that there's now 2,000 exclusive apps for the Vision Pro on the App Store, and you have access to over 1.5 million apps from the iPhone and the iPad. Why? Because it's abundantly clear that developers just don't care about this product. And we're bringing advancements to spatial video on Vision Pro. Using the iPhone 15 Pro, you can take dazzling and beautiful shots of spatial video. Or rather, you can use the Canon EOS R7, because now they're offering a new lens which will allow you to take spatial video in the most challenging conditions that the iPhone just can't meet. Although, that camera is well known for overheating, so you'll get about 5 to 7 seconds of gorgeous spatial video with the Canon EOS R7. These videos can be edited in Final Cut Pro and posted to Vimeo because YouTube doesn't officially support Vision OS yet. And here's a teaser about using Blackmagic, DaVinci Resolve, and Apple Compressor, which we're not going to show footage of. And here's an awkward picture of the weekend. And that is Vision OS 2, with a ton of underwhelming features that we are hoping to bring to you this fall. And now, to talk about iOS, here's Craig. Thanks, Craig. We have a budget situation for costumes here at TechMixer. And now, let's talk about iOS 18, bringing game-changing features to your iPhone this fall. First and foremost, we rolled out the ability to customize your home screen with app placement wherever you want it, as long as it conforms to our standards here at Apple. If your parents want to customize their home screen to their liking, maybe you shouldn't have bought your mom an iPhone. Dark mode is such a useful feature and sometimes looks weird. And now with custom colors, it looks even weirder. Speaking of weird, let's talk about Control Center, which this year is more convoluted than ever. Now app developers have the ability to make custom app adjustments within Control Center. Oh, it looks like somebody's breaking into my garage. Let me just lock them in there real quick. We've also introduced the Controls Gallery, so let me add the Ford app, and as long as the car doesn't need a mandatory update, I can turn on the air conditioner. Nice. On top of all of this, you can also now customize your lock screen, like taking a note when an idea strikes, or getting a really quick video for Snapchat for the 5 people who still use Snapchat. We won't mention ByteDance or TikTok at this event, because we're really banking on them getting banned. And like we allude to every year, this year we are focused on privacy, well, at least for part of the year. unlike when we released iOS 17.5, which sent you old photos that you thought you deleted from your iCloud. Are you cheating on your partner? That's okay, because now you can hide Tinder in a special hidden folder. Nice! In the Messages app, we have expanded on tapbacks, and for the new generation, internally, we are testing a new function called clapbacks using machine learning. And this year, we've expanded Messages to work via satellite. So this way, as a call to Canadians, when your internet service provider goes down, you can still communicate, even when the country is crippled at the drop of a hat. And this year, in iOS 18, we are so excited to bring you Game Mode, which will basically slow down your phone and force you to upgrade to a new phone sooner than ever. Also, we've reimagined the Photos app, making it clunkier than ever, like it wasn't a hot mess in the first place. Craig, that's not a positive note. Stop smiling. I'm not smiling. That's it for iOS. To tell you more about audio and home, here's Craig. Seriously, we need a costume budget. And now, let's talk about audio and home, specifically how AirPods can make your life easier when it comes to using Siri. Sometimes you need to query Siri in a situation where if you say anything out loud, you'll look like an insane person. But we've remedied that with a new innovation with AirPods. You can simply gesture yes or no with head tracking movement, and Siri will intelligently figure it out as long as your AirPods are correctly connected.
AirPods disconnected. Incoming call from Big Booty Judy. Would you like to answer? We heard she has that fat.
And also, we are using advanced computational audio to bring you better voice isolation. Shifting gears to the Apple TV, let's talk about this new feature we have called Insight, which is essentially a glorified advanced ripoff of Amazon Prime and Plex, except it only works with Apple TV+. In the new tvOS operating system, we're bringing 21:9 aspect ratio for projectors. This way, we can get home theater forums to actually take us seriously. And that wraps up everything with tvOS. Now let's shift gears and talk about watchOS. Or not, because we want you to stay awake for the rest of the presentation. Let's talk about iPadOS, a great addition for our newest lineup of iPads, including the iPad Air and the iPad Pro. The iPad Pro being the thinnest device that Apple has ever made. And yet, the branding is all messed up because the iPad Air is supposed to be thinner than the Pro, thus the Air moniker. But the Pro is more feature-rich and can do more, but will probably throttle, while the Air is thicker but not as capable. But the Pro. In the latest iPadOS, we are bringing something monumental to iPad, 14 years in the making. We are bringing Calculator to the iPad. It is essentially the same calculator that you will find on iPhone, except it does a little bit more, the screen's a little bit bigger, and using machine learning trickery, we can get it to interact with other apps. iPadOS is essentially iOS, but just on a bigger screen. So for this reason, we're just going to skip the entire iPadOS segment of this keynote and get right to Mac. I did my own stunts. Let's talk about macOS. As is usual at WWDC, we assembled our crack marketing team to put together a name that speaks to us. And we're not even going to be subtle about the amount of drugs that our crack marketing team has been doing. As a matter of fact, they are actually on crack. Please send help. But with all that being said, they got super high in the fields somewhere in California and came up with this wonderful name for our latest operating system, macOS Sequel. I mean Sequoia. I mean Segway to our sponsor. Brand new in macOS Sequoia is the ability to tile the windows and a proper password manager, sunsetting apps like Rectangle and Magnet and 1Password. Pour one out for the Sherlocked apps that have been affected by this change. One game-changing feature that we are bringing to macOS Sequoia, along with iOS 18, is iPhone mirroring, which is great. You can now control and use your iPhone, drag documents to it via continuity, and it stays perfectly secure and locked throughout the entire session. We can't wait to see how this gets exploited in the wild, out in public. In macOS Sequoia, if you go to make a video call, now, using the power of Apple's industry-leading segmentation, you can remove the background and use a predefined background, or even your own picture. This detail-oriented approach to segmentation clearly was not used when they tried to apply this in Final Cut Pro. And now, let's talk about Safari. If you haven't kept up with Safari updates in the last few years, we don't blame you, as we haven't had browser market share for a very long time. And now we have features in Safari that you probably don't care about. But the great thing is that now you can preview Apple TV programs and Apple Music, all with a click of a button, providing that you pay for an Apple TV Plus or Apple Music subscription. We're taking gatekeeping to a whole new level. And we haven't even talked about the exciting new innovations in gaming, because we're updating our Mac porting tools for iOS, macOS, and iPadOS, but we purposely didn't mention the Vision Pro. Some of the games that you don't care about include Frostpunk 2, Control, yet another Assassin's Creed game from Ubisoft, who always seems to come out of the woodwork during one of these events, and a brand new Prince of Persia title that we don't have gameplay footage for because we didn't give them enough time. And that's macOS segue to our sponsor, Sequoia, with a bunch of meh features until we talk about the next part. But to introduce that, here's Tim. We are so proud of our teams for the half-baked innovation across all of our platforms. We have one more thing that we'd like to introduce, a new era for Apple. Something that every tech company has used as marketing shill and has abused the naming of. We came along and renamed AI to something that absolutely fits perfectly within Apple. And we call it Apple Intelligence, an oxymoron. We are hoping that Apple Intelligence is amazing right out of the gate. And if it fails, we'll just revert back to our privacy commitment from iOS 17.5. Send nudes and shares. To tell you more about this new innovation, once again, here's Craig. Let's be honest. In its current state, Siri is kind of useless. It's so useless that sometimes I call it sorrow because that's what I feel whenever I have to use Siri. On average, Siri receives about 1.5 billion requests a day. And on average, it sends back a prompt to the user saying that it searched the internet for their query about 1 billion times a day. So our aim is to make Siri relatively competent. And because we're not good at this internally, we've enlisted the help of OpenAI's ChatGPT. And with the power of private cloud compute, we will hopefully mitigate any glitches where we send your personal information around loosely. Like we did back on iOS 17.5, when we sent you back images that you had allegedly deleted. We harness the power of Apple Intelligence to hopefully not hallucinate and steal your personal data, while providing you robust features like Genmoji, like when you need to send a birthday message and you want to send them a personalized Genmoji. That is truly terrifying. We have harnessed the power of Apple Intelligence with our writing tools, including Summary and Proofread, making it super easy to plagiarize other people's work. And because Apple Intelligence is on your device learning every single movement you make with your device, it can summarize your text messages so that way you get the clearest possible version of the message you needed to see. We have talked at great length about how other people and other companies shouldn't be able to harness your information. And that's why we have cryptographic tools to make sure that any requests that are sent from your iPhone is naturally secured. At least we hope so. We would hope that you blindly trust us the way that we're telling you not to blindly trust other companies. We also made a deal with ChatGPT so that when Siri can't figure it out because she's batshit crazy, that we send it off to OpenAI's ChatGPT, with your permission, of course. And hopefully, we don't divulge too much information, which can lead to ChatGPT building a profile about you. To sum it all up, it's a scary dystopian future, and Apple Intelligence is here for it. Back to you, Tim. Thank you so much for joining us for mediocre software updates and a weird, powerful, strange, and actually terrifying dystopian future provided by Apple Intelligence. We look forward to your comments, and we also look forward to year-to-year updates where we only provide minor updates to our products. We look forward to meeting up with our developers this week, where we basically go over why we put developer in the name of the event, WWDC. My name is Tim Cook. Thank you so much. Have a great day. Let's let the good times roll. Share.